Hi guys, this is Kickin' It with Lupus. Today's episode is going to be all about going to see your specialist. Now, as you know, I have lupus, but today's topic is going to be for anyone who has any sort of chronic disease and has been referred to see a specialized doctor. So, some of the specialists that I've seen, they include, of course, a rheumatologist, neurologist, pulmonary doctor, anywhere physical therapy to sleep studies. There's a range. And what I've noticed that helps me is that because I have so many different doctors and appointments, there's certain weeks where I may have 2 or 3 appointments in one week. It's best for me to create a little visual for myself. What I do is I have a what's it called? A dry erase board. Brain fog. It's about that big, and I have 3 columns because I have 3 different healthcare systems. I have the Presbyterian healthcare system. I have the university hospital, who I go see for a few of my specialists. And then, as some of you know, I'm Native American, so I use the Indian Health Service, which I'll refer to as IHS from now on. So I'll have the Presbyterian, the university, and the IHS on my 3 columns. And the reason I do this is because each one of those systems has a personalized medical record for me, and they're not the same. So that's 3 different medical records. It's 3 different healthcare systems that have to interact with each other, share my test results, update my medications, stuff like that. And so when I have a test or an appointment with a specialist coming up, I'll write it on whatever column it belongs to. So let's say my Presbyterian referred me to a neurologist, and so I'll write neurology appointment, this date, this time, this location, and these are the preps that I need to do. Because let's say my neurologist wants me to do an MRI. Well, for my MRI, sorry about that, folks. I was having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to pick up where I left off. So let's say my neurologist has asked me to go to an MRI. Well, for my MRI, I had to not eat for, I don't know, a couple hours. And so I made sure I wrote that down on my board underneath that appointment. I've had other appointments like an EEG where I couldn't sleep that night, and I'll make sure I'll write that down underneath the appointment just so I know what kind of prep I have. And it can be anything: no eating, no sleeping, no caffeine, no pills, no putting conditioner in your hair. Yeah. So that's my first step. Is I recommend getting a dry erase board and writing down your appointments so that you can see them visually, because it's really hard if you've got a couple weeks and you have 6 or 7 appointments in those weeks. You gotta keep track of them somehow. My next tip would be to bring somebody with you for these appointments. When you're getting new tests or meeting new doctors, it's difficult, it's stressful, and some of the tests can really put your body through the ringer. When I had a pulmonary function test, I was having to do a lot of heavy breathing and a lot of holding my breath, and afterwards I felt like I was going to pass out. I couldn't even walk out of the hospital on my own. They had to use a wheelchair, and thankfully my wife had come with me to that appointment and was able to get me home safely. And there's other tests, that happen that you just feel disoriented afterwards. I've also had tests where they've put needles in my muscles and had me flex them, and I felt real weak, and I couldn't even lift my arms after that test. Luckily, I had my mother at that appointment with me. She was able to get me home safely. And it could be as simple as just having to lie down in the same position for a while. You know how we get sore and stiff. So my recommendation is, if you're going to go see a specialist and they're sending you to do tests, definitely bring somebody with you. Make sure you know what your prep is. I like to just do a little bit of research on what the test is like, so I don't get in there and I'm like, you're going to shock me? I like to know what I'm getting into. So yeah, those are my tips. This episode was about specialists and being referred. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I haven't sent out a video in a while. Unfortunately, I was traveling, and after I travel, I always need a little bit of recoup time. But I'm back and I'm feeling good. So I hope you enjoy. This is Kicking It with Lupus. Until next time.